Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro, friends. Today is Monday, March the 30th, and from today we will be switching back to recording the podcast live recording the podcast live through video on YouTube and then having the audio turn up in people's apps the next day in the morning. Just for continuity. So that's going to start today. So today on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, we will be talking about contemplating a new coffee industry amongst this outbreak and this crisis that's happening and the indefiniteness. And I'm 100% sure that that's not a word, but we're just going to use the word indefiniteness for the meantime. But I am sure that the indefinite nature of what's going on now is going to reshape the way that we are as humans. And I'm hoping more than anything that we take a pause in our industry to start considering what kind of an industry that we would like to, I say go back to, but I would prefer to say rebuild, because we don't know what the state of the industry is going to be once we are able to start considering going back to normal. So the idea of rebuilding seems more apt for me than going back to our industry. The reason I think we're going to need to rebuild is because, as people have been using the wartime kind of analogy for what's going on right now, and carrying that on, we don't know what the battlefield casualties look like with regards to businesses in the coffee industry yet. We simply don't know en masse who's going to, how many businesses will be able to reopen, how many businesses will be able to reopen. The business be able to make it very far. On the other side of that, we really do need to look long and hard at the way, if we're a professional and we don't own our own business, how we come to the industry. And given that we're the lowest paid as professionals, amongst a lot of professions. People in the service industry are amongst the lowest paid in the workforce. So how are we and why are we going to put up with that moving forward? And what's going to change? Going to show up in a different way as professionals. And I suspect if we to be somewhere that the two different perspectives, the business owners and the workforce, can come together and rather than this turning into an us versus them thing, I would love to see people saying, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show up and have a discussion. I'm going to show up and have a conversation and see what comes of that. Now, who starts the conversation? I don't know. I'm kind of hoping we can start it here. I'm hoping that it's something I'm going to talk a lot about with you guys on our Instagram lives, because the solution isn't easy. We're going to change things. We need to change things. I'm hoping that this moment of isolation is causing you to sit and ponder the things that are valuable to you in your life and the things that you want to keep in your life versus the things in your life that are toxic, and how you can get rid of them. What will you welcome into your life after this, and what will you just no longer accept? And that holds true for your professional life as well. What about what you do will no longer serve you after this? And I think it's important to take that very seriously. think we're all looking at this and assessing the quality of our lives. What did we invest in before this that has turned out to be valuable in situations like this? For the people, well, what I'm witnessing anyway, is the people who invested in building their character, the people who invested in having a healthy body, the people who invested in community, the people who invested in learning communication skills and good relationships, people who invested in themselves and their mental health. Those are the investments that are paying off right now. The people who invested in I guess the right word for it is the more pretentious assets, building social currency that doesn't really have any connection. The selfies that you're taking are not going to pay off right now. And the great selfies that you took in the past, they're not going to be what stops you from experiencing all the anxiety that this moment is going to be showing up with. So it's time to meet the moment. It's also time in this moment, and I take those words from Governor Newsom. I have just been so utterly proud and impressed of the governor of California. For the first time being here in 4 and a bit years, I've really looked at this situation and thought, I'm proud to live in California right now. I'm an incredibly proud Aussie, but I'm incredibly proud of the person who's leading this state, because he is taking responsibility for leading right now. And I see the same thing in Governor Cuomo in New York, taking responsibility in leading. And Governor Newsom, the motto for what's happening right now is we have to meet the moment. And your moment right now is, aside from the coronavirus outbreak, keeping yourself safe and keeping the people around you safe and your community safe, it's how do I meet this moment with contemplation? Meeting this moment for us as an industry is looking at what we've created and asking ourselves, what does it serve? What value does it really have? Not only to my customers, but what value does it have to the people who show up for me as an employer? What value does it have for me? Look, there are some business owners that I really hope will take this moment as an exit strategy for a business that they have hated running for a long time. And I know that there are people who have contacted me and said, I really want to not do my business anymore. And the thought of going to work every day, I hate it. I just don't know how to do it without embarrassing myself or without feeling like a failure. If this is you, please take the opportunity to do it. Blame it on coronavirus. Couldn't have a better excuse. And if you are kind of somewhere in between, whereby you hate your business or you hate how hard it is and you just want it easier, and you've decided that this moment is presenting you with the opportunity to choose different. Because after this, if you decide not to open your business and you don't know what to do, go and find a business owner that could use your help and ask them for a job. You will make an incredible employee. I would hire someone who has had their own business over someone who hasn't, only because you understand the pain points of what struggle it is and how we as business owners count pennies just to save some money. And people who have owned a business before have a really deep appreciation for how difficult it is to run a business. So this is a time for reflection and contemplation. It is a time for grace And I say that as a non-religious term. And by grace, what I mean, it's a time for cutting yourself some slack and just melting into this moment and accepting it for what it is. I really hope that what we do throughout this, whether we're isolated for another month or whether we're isolated for another 12 months, I hope that what we do is consider, how do we look at how we're contributing to the coffee value chain and how we will continue to, once we do return, have a value chain that respects and shows dignity to everyone that's involved in it. Because I certainly do not want to be involved in anything. I never have wanted to. And I'm even more insistent after this not to deal with any suppliers who are not staunchly making sure that everybody that they engage with through their value chain is taken care of. Because we shouldn't be doing things that minimize, disregard, or disrespect or leave indignant anybody after this. And if we can't find that grace in this moment and that knowing, then I'm not sure that we ever will. Because this is one of those times where we're getting a reset in order to understand our role in this big spinning spaceship that we live on. The whole globe is involved. You're not serving anyone if you're unhappy. You're not serving anyone if you're making people unhappy, or the way that you're operating is making people unhappy. So I invite you, in the words of Governor Newsom, to meet this moment and to meet this question. What kind of an industry do we want to return to? And let's start, now that we are entering a contemplative state of this process, let's invest the time in having the conversations with each other of this question. What kind of a coffee industry do we want to rebuild? Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Join me for an Instagram live at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 days a week. And let's discuss this further. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.